In celebration of International Women's Day, I'm going to talk about the women in music that inspire me. Let's dig in. Sunday the 8th of March was International Women's Day, and that is a day that draws attention to the struggle that women have had for equality. I've always found the UK music industry to be a bit of a sausage fest, so it's great to see more and more women being at the forefront of our music scene. But there's absolutely room for improvement, and I think it's good to take a wee minute to recognise some of these amazing people. So I'm going to talk about the women in music that inspire me. Now, this is a list of women in music that inspire me personally, so I know I'm going to miss out some amazing people. I do apologise for that, but I'm really here to talk about the people that inspire me the most. So I'm going to give you 10 women in music that inspire me, and it's in no particular order, but I am going to save my favourite women for last. So first up, Nita Strauss. So Nita Strauss is best known as the guitarist for Alice Cooper, but she's also a really successful solo artist, a session player, educator and fitness blogger. She rose to fame through the band The Iron Maidens, which was an all-female tribute to Iron Maiden, but suddenly become massive when she got the job with Alice Cooper in I think around 2014. Interestingly, she is also a descendant of the Austrian composer Johann Strauss, which I think is pretty cool. Now, we all know the work that she does with Alice Cooper. She is absolutely fantastic. She's one of 3 players and she shreds up on that stage night after night like nobody else. But she's also got a really cool solo album called The Call of the Void. I've got a massive soft spot for instrumental music. I love things like Joe Satriani and Andy Timmons, and her album's fantastic. The playing is amazing, production's so cool. It's really, really worth checking out. Now, she was honoured for her work in music with an Ibanez signature model. It's called the Jiva, and I think it's really cool. I'm a big fan of S-series Ibanez's. There's one kind of behind me, the Joe Satriani style. And hers is a kind of take on that. It looks amazing, plays fantastic, sounds awesome, and has been really, really successful too. As well as hearing her play on the various projects she does with Alice and her solo stuff, you can hear her play with Demi Lovato as well, and she also appears on the Netflix documentary Hired Guns, which is really a great watch. And most of all, I think she seems like a really, really nice person. I've watched loads of interviews with her. She just seems lovely, and I think when you get someone who is super talented and super, super nice, that's a fantastic combination. I would absolutely check her out. Next up, Kirsten Adamson. So Kirsten has been a friend of mine for years and years and years. We worked together in a guitar store about nearly 20 years ago, and we've remained friends ever since. She comes from a musical family and she's been performing since she was about 12. Kirsten is super hardworking. She has an amazing voice and she is an amazing musician as well. She's been relentlessly gigging with loads of different projects for years and years and years, and her work ethic is second to none. But again, she's got a great voice, she's a great musician, and her records sound absolutely fantastic. They're really well worth checking out. Her latest album was released last year. It's called Dreamweaver, and you can get that on all the usual platforms, and I know that she's currently working on a new album as well, which I'm sure loads of people will be super excited about. She really is a fantastic person and very inspirational, and she's dead cool too. That's why she's a pal. So next up is Kato Zane. So Kato Zane is a music producer, a musician, and also a YouTuber, and she has a fantastic YouTube channel. Like myself, she works part-time as a lecturer in college, so I really identify with her. The big thing for me though is her YouTube channel. It is insane. It is a wealth of knowledge. She is fantastic. She's got so much amazing content regarding music production, but also specifically on how to use Pro Tools. I watch her channel a lot, and even though I've got years of experience myself, I'm always learning stuff from her. So I would really check out her channel. There's such a wealth of knowledge that you can get access to there as well. It's super cool, super geeky, super detailed, and honestly, I will watch every video one day. I'm going to finish her channel on hard. Check her out. Again, she seems like a super nice person, and I'll continue watching her channel for years to come. Alright, next up is a big one, Alanis Morissette. Okay, if you weren't alive in the 90s, I can't tell you how big her album Jagged Little Pill was. It was absolutely mega, and it just felt like everybody seemed to own that album. Why? Because it's amazing. I think apart from the songs just being really good, well written, she was really good at showing her vulnerable side and sharing a bit of herself, but also showing her strength as a woman, and that shone through in the music. It was an absolute juggernaut of an album, and I still listen to it a lot today. At the time of the Jagged Little Pill tour in the 90s, her live band was fantastic, and it was made up of members of Red Hot Chili Peppers, Foo Fighters and Jane's Addiction. It's also where I first discovered a drummer called Taylor Hawkins. Before the Foo Fighters, he was a drummer for Alanis Morissette, and I remember seeing a live video on MTV back when they actually had music, and I was so taken by the drummer, I went straight to my drum teacher and I was like, you gotta check this guy out. And then a few years later, he ends up playing for the Foo Fighters, who arguably did quite well. Last year in 2025, I got to see her for the first time live, and it was incredible. She was just absolutely fantastic. She's still singing her heart out with all that raw emotion and energy, and also she's up and down that stage like you wouldn't believe. It was so inspiring. I absolutely love her. And if you are a person who hasn't heard that album, and I'm sure there can't be many in the world, you gotta check it out. It's fantastic. Alright, moving on. Next up is Jennifer Batten. Now, I am a huge Michael Jackson fan. My first album I ever got was Bad by Michael Jackson in the 80s. I adore him. And I know that he's a controversial figure, but I love his music, and he was a massive influence to me as a child. He had a guitar player on stage who I was mesmerised even before I was into music or a musician, and that was the amazing Jennifer Batten. Her stage presence was unlike anything I'd ever seen. She had massive hair, she looked super, super cool, and she could play like an absolute demon. As I got more into music and became a musician myself, I really started to appreciate how unbelievably talented that she was. In the 90s, there was a concert in Romania which I tuned into live, and she was incredible. And the thing that I always remember was her playing the famous Beat It solo, which was actually recorded by Eddie Van Halen. She had this enormous lit up headpiece, and she had lasers coming out of her guitar while she did this incredible solo. It was the coolest thing I've ever seen, and possibly still the coolest thing I've ever seen. She's also got a bunch of solo albums, books, DVDs, and she's a well-known educator and does clinics all over the world. Fantastic player, also played with the likes of Jeff Beck, who is incredible, and generally I just find her playing style really, really interesting. You should go check her out. Next up, Sylvia Massey. So Sylvia Massey is an American record producer, mixer and educator, and she's really well known for her unusual recording techniques. Some of the better known ones are miking up a hose and putting that around a drum kit, and putting a guitar through a potato. I still haven't quite worked that one out, but it's pretty cool. Over the years, she's worked in some of the most amazing studios in the world, including Larrabee and Sound City, and her breakthrough record was Undertow by Tool, and I absolutely loved Tool. After that, she went on to work with a load of amazing artists, including Johnny Cash, System of a Down, and the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Where she always resonated with me was she worked with some of my most favourite British artists of the 90s, including Cooler Shaker on the album Cake, Reef, who I was absolutely obsessed with in the 90s, and Skunk Anansi's Paranoid and Sunburn, which is an amazing album. Also, as an educator, she's worked in places like Berkeley, the Abbey Road Institute, and the SAE, the School of Audio Engineering. Again, she's obviously a really, really talented person and has done an incredible amount of work, but every time I see her in an interview, she just seems like the loveliest person, and I really appreciate people that are super talented and super, super nice. Alright, moving on, I'm going to keep it local again. Next up is Anna Shields. So Anna Shields is the front person of a band called Dead Pony, but there's a little bit of history to go first of all. In 2017, I went to a really hot festival in the west coast of Scotland. I know hot in Scotland doesn't always compute, but it does happen sometimes. And I saw a band called Crystal. I was really taken by the band instantly. They had such a cool sound. It was really, really unusual, and I was really taken by her as a front person. She was incredible, like so energetic, like so much kind of like drive and energy on stage. It was great. And from that moment on, I always kept an eye out to see how they were going. Do you know when you see a band and you go, like, they're going somewhere? Like, it sounds a bit cheesy, but like, I saw Crystal and I was like, yeah, they're going somewhere. In 2020, they rebranded to Dead Pony, and they've continued to grow massively and had some amazing success. They went on to release loads of EPs and singles and some really cool music videos. They've toured with amazing artists such as Kids in Glass Houses, Skindred, Twin Atlantic and Churches. They also have been on the main stage of Transmit, which is one of the biggest festivals in Scotland. The bottom line is Anna is badass as fuck. An amazing singer. She's got a stage presence like nothing else on earth. And I really like the fact that she calls out dickheads. There was a guy at one of their concerts trying to take pictures of up her skirt, and she called that guy out with one of these and shoved it all over social media. And I just think that's cool. Fuck that guy. As a band, they're influenced by grunge, nu metal and electronica like The Prodigy, and honestly, it's a brilliant band, but she is a standout front person and you need to check it out. Next up is Joan Osborne. So if you were around in the 90s, you will know her mega hit One of Us. And like so many people, when that came out, I absolutely loved it, and I went out and I bought her album, and the album was called Relish. That went on to become one of the most important albums of my life. It is unbelievable. Now, at that time in the mid-90s, I was obsessed by grunge and I was obsessed by metal, and if I'm being honest, I might have been a little bit of a snob. And when that album came out, it opened me up to things like blues, Americana and country. There is not one single bad song on that album. It is a work of art. And it definitely opened my mind to bands like The Counting Crows, who have become one of my most favourite bands in the world. One of Us is an absolute standout track, but for me, the best track on it is Crazy Baby, which is absolute beauty personified. I love that song. It's incredible. And it also opened me up to my love of Rhodes pianos. Like, I love the sound of a Rhodes piano, and it absolutely comes from that song. She's went on to do loads and loads of albums, collaborate with some amazing people, and she is absolutely worth checking out. Next up, Linda Perry. So Linda Perry is an American musician and songwriter, and she is best known for being the front person of the band Four Non Blondes. Four Non Blondes had a mega hit called What's Up, which is still a massive sing-along tune and an absolute banger. And I remember watching the video, and obviously I loved the tune, but I just thought she looked like one of the coolest people I'd ever seen, and I still think that. I would love to be able to rock a top hat with goggles on it. I just thought it was so cool. Now, that was obviously a massive hit, but the band didn't really seem to do much after that, but she went on to become a prolific songwriter for some amazing artists. Now, for me, one of the best songs that she's ever written is Beautiful by Christina Aguilera. That song is an absolute banger. I adore it. The lyrics, the music, it's just so good. But she's also went on to write a bunch of stuff for people like Pink, Courtney Love, Cheap Trick, Skin of Skunk Anansie, Gwen Stefani, Miley Cyrus and Ariana Grande. Now, I'm not a big pop person, but I do just love a good song. But I will say that some of the stuff that Linda Perry has written for these artists is the most interesting stuff that these people have. And in recognition of her work, in 2015, she was inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame. You should check out some of her stuff. She is fantastic. And last, and my most influential woman in music, Skin. So Skin is the front person of a band called Skunk Anansie, who I absolutely adore. The backstory is in the 90s when I was still in school, I was over at a friend's house and he let me hear a song called Intellectualize My Blackness. Now, when the song kicked in, I was taken by how cool the music was, but as soon as her voice started, I was like, whoa, what is going on here? She's got a voice like nothing on earth. Her voice, it was so London, it was so punky, it was so beautiful, and her lyrics are fantastic. Like, I loved how politically charged it was. I loved the venom, the energy, the emotion. It was just fantastic. But as well as having that side of it, she is also a really beautiful singer, and there are songs like Weak and Brazen where, like, I mean, it's just beautiful. I'm led to believe that Weak is a grade 8 vocal piece, so that gives you an idea of exactly how good she is. Now, she has got an image like nothing on earth. Like, she looks like one of the most badass, scary people I've ever seen. I honestly, I can't go on enough about how cool she is. But that album, that first Skunk Anansie album, Paranoid and Sunburnt, is one of the most important albums of my life. I adore it, and interestingly was recorded by Sylvia Massey, another person who I adore. If you haven't heard that album, please do check it out. It is unreal. I think the musicianship is fantastic. The whole band are just fantastic, but honestly, she is like nothing on earth. And another standout track that you need to check out is her collaboration with Tony Iommi of Black Sabbath. The song's called Meat, and it is breathtaking. It's heavy, powerful, and beautiful all at once. Honestly, I think Skin is the coolest woman in music ever. I adore her, and I will never hear a bad thing said about her. Alright, I hope you enjoyed that. These are just women that I really appreciate and that inspire me, but I know there's so much more out there. I can think of loads myself, but I needed to keep this video fairly short. Let me know in the comments if you agree with me, or if there's a woman in music that you really dig. And also, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. I'll see you next time. Cheers.